Hey everybody, today I want to explore one of the tips that I gave in my original top 10 tips video, and I want to go a little bit deeper into it. That is tip number one, which was lightly floating up of the head. This is a concept commonly used in Tai Chi and other movement disciplines, and it's one that's essential for our daily movement like walking. So when we are standing or walking, doing anything, what we want to do is have that feeling of the head elongating and floating upwards as if it's connected by a string to a helium balloon that is pulling up. And that is an intention that we want to maintain. So intention is a little bit different than other types of muscle contraction. We're very used to doing muscle contraction where we try to tighten things. Like if we try to tighten our bicep muscle, we're feeling contraction. Versus intention is just having the muscle do what it's meant to do without any tension. So flexing my arm using the bicep without having any tension in the bicep is more of the idea of an intention versus a contraction. Now, if I have a big weight in my arm, then of course it's going to take tension with that contraction and you'll be able to feel it. But if there's only gravity holding my arm down, it doesn't take a lot of tension to bring it up. It just takes the intention of causing the elbow to flex. When we talk about the intention of lightly floating up of the head, we're talking about muscles in the side of the spine, like the erector spinae muscles, that are going to travel all the way up from the top of the neck all the way down to your lower back, that travel along the side of your spine and help keep your spine elongated against gravity. So we're not trying to tighten that muscle against anything using force. We're trying to just use that muscle to elongate the spine. And that's what you want to keep as your intention. Floating the head up lightly, not using force. So you're not trying to squeeze any muscle. You're just trying to do the action of having the head float up. So as we walk, what we want to do is keep that intention constant, always thinking up from the middle of the spine here, even as we're moving forward or turning or walking backward, whatever we want to do, this concept should be straight up and never having any intention of that moving in this direction, or worse yet, that direction, which is really going to throw us off balance. A lot of people begin thinking they need to take a first step walking by bringing that intention forward, and then that creates a very unbalanced, unrooted gait with a lot of heavy heel impact and a lot of force that's going to go up into your knees and your hips and your lower back. If we keep the spine elongated as we move, we get rid of that incorrect intention of pitching forward, and then we can figure out how to use our core properly to get the motion to happen correctly, because it's core rotation and hip action coordinating with all of our movements that's going to create the ability for the body to move in one direction or another direction. It doesn't take gravity leaning forward from the top and trying to fall and catch each step, as some people would describe movement. Walking correctly is not a controlled fall. Controlled fall is moving like this and then trying to catch yourself. Walking is a continuing balance act where we have constant stability of our movement. It doesn't mean that we can get to a position like this and this is a great stable stopping point, but it means that if you get to a position like this, we're not just falling into the next step, we're going to use the core to place the next foot down in a controlled fashion. We're not using top-down energy to fall into the heel. So that's something that is really important to maintain at all times. So as I'm walking and talking, I have a continuous feeling of my head floating upward and never starting to lean forward. It gets a little bit into tip number two that I talked about, which was keeping the eyes gazing forward, because that really is part of the head being elongated. My eyes are going to be directed forward as I move. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't use my eyeballs and glance down as I'm doing that. That is something that's perfectly fine, because we have to look at certain things. If I'm walking in an area where there could be dangerous things to step on, I can use the eyeballs to glance down. Also, what I want to explain is for people who really feel the need to look down to prevent stepping on things, or certainly there's times where we're walking around places where we have to look down to see if there's anything dangerous, you can separate your neck and look down so you're able to see what's beneath you, but then the intention is still going to come from here. Whatever the part of your spine is at the end of that bend, now your upward intention is going to come from there. So it's still floating lightly upward, even though my head is angled. I don't want to have this feeling of motion that way, because that's where we're falling into steps. So that's just a little clarification from some previous videos. If you need to look down, the intention of upward is going to come from here at the back of the neck. That's still lightly floating up, even if I'm looking down, because there's a bunch of tacks on the ground and I'm trying to avoid those. So I'm not getting into this feeling, which would be that top intention going forward. So if you do it that way when necessary, bending the head forward if you have to, but keeping the intention up from the back here, then you're going to be still moving with fluidity and better balance. I hope this concept helps you, and if it does, make sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you turn on the notifications bell, you'll see when my other videos come out. There's all kinds of different concepts I'm going into, but all with the goal of helping you to move more fluidly and move with lower impact on your joints. Not simply just working on strengthening and stretching exercises. Those are really helpful, but they don't really necessarily change the way you move. And I want to be able to help you change the way you move in a positive way, so you're going to end up with less impact and damage in your joints in the long run. Hope you have a great day.